All right, once you have selected your sources for your speech, it is time to start building the speech. And you're going to do that through the use of an outline. And so by Saturday, you need to complete your informative speech outline. The order that this outline appears in is exactly the way that you should be going in your speech. You should be able to follow it from the beginning to the end. It's possible that you will include things in your speech, sub points that don't appear in the outline. That's fine, but most of the things that you're going to say in your speech will be in this outline. So if you'll, one thing I want to reiterate is the fact that you are using chapters 12 through 14 through this whole process. So make sure that you have at least looked over 12 through 14 as you are planning your speech. This particular information will come from chapter 12 when it comes to the outline. And pay attention to the specific instructions. You're going to use complete sentences for all the information that's requested. You should keep your formatting exactly as it is instructed. And again, if you do not have sub points showing in your outline, that is perfectly fine, but they can and probably should show up in your speech. Your speech is 4 to 6 minutes long, so it's unlikely that you're going to have every little piece of information in the outline, but you're going to have the bulk of it. So if you'll click the green action arrow, you'll find this particular document, and this is what your outline is going to look like. You can literally save this and type your information here, okay, in the different spots. Put the title of your speech, whatever your information speech is about. We're going to talk in a moment about attention getters. I think I have some samples for you. Start with something. Maybe it's a quote. Maybe it's a statistic. Get your audience's attention. Then explain in a way why the audience should be listening. If you are doing a speech about diabetes, let's say, like type 2 diabetes, your audience, you could say, most of you either know someone who has type 2 diabetes, or you will know someone, or this disease may affect you personally in the future. Something like that. You are giving them a reason to listen to you. Then, very closely related is speaker credibility. Why should they listen to you? And the number one speaker credibility for this class is that you've done your research. So you can write, I have done my research on this topic, and I have learned a lot, or something to that effect. Also, if maybe you have type 2 diabetes, let's keep with our example, you could say, I suffer from type 2 diabetes, and I have done my research on this topic. There you go. There's your speaker credibility. The thesis is a very classic thesis statement in a really, pretend like this is the simplest paper you've ever written. You want to keep your thesis really straightforward and simple. So keep it simple, okay? And the best way for a thesis is to do something like this. In order to help you better understand type 2 diabetes, I will explain, and then you can give your 3 points real quick. So preview the 3 points. Your transition sentence will sound something like this. Before you can understand the effects of type 2 diabetes, it's important that you understand the cause. And so maybe your first point is the cause or something to that effect. So transition sentences should be italicized and in bold. You're going to type your main point here. These two sentences should not be the same. This sentence, your main point should be really specific in nature, have really specific information in them. Complete sentences, don't forget that. At some point, you're going to transition from the first point to the second point. Again, these two should not be the same. And then from second to third. At the end, you're going to review the thesis. Now you should be able to understand type 2 diabetes and da-da-da-da-da. And then end with a clincher for your audience. Okay? It just gives some little formatting details here that you make sure that you keep all the information for one point on the same page. Don't split information for the same point between 2 pages. So when we talk about points, we're talking about 1, 2, and 3. And then the final page is your references. The same references you're turning in by Wednesday. you're going to turn them in on Saturday. I highly recommend that you wait and get your grade on those references like Thursday. Check them real quick. Make any changes that you need before you submit this paper. I mean, you don't have to. It's just a recommendation. So that is the formula you're following. And you have all kinds of resources here. It can get a little overwhelming. There is no rhyme or reason to the way Miles Arca links these. I used to think they were in ABC order, but it's clear that they're not. So I'm not sure why these get linked in the order they do. But let's look at a few things. First of all, you have a complete example available to you with real words that you can look at. This should help you some. Okay, so this speech is on lightning. And we have the attention getter. One stormy Saturday afternoon when I was eating lunch with my family, a bolt of lightning hit the electrical outlet next to the dinner table, and the bread maker, which was plugged in at the time, went completely crazy. Attention getter. Listener relevance. It is likely that all of you have seen lightning, and many of you have probably even had a similar lightning experience. Speaker credibility. Science has always been one of my best subjects in school, and I have been intrigued by lightning since I learned of its existence when I was 5 years old. Thesis preview. Look at this. In order to help you better understand this intriguing subject, I am going to talk about the causes of lightning, the different types of lightning, and the effects of lightning. Before you can appreciate lightning, you need to know what causes it and how it works. So notice that before you can do this, you do this. Well, first point. Lightning is caused by the attraction between positive and negative charges. Notice that the transition and the first point are not the same. They do not contain the same information. Number one mistake of my students in this class. This is just like a general showing motion, showing transition. This is the actual information. Then we have complete sentence subpoints, transition to the second point, and so forth and so on. So read over this. Literally just go plug in your information in the spots. Okay? And then here are the references for that particular speech. Again, you can have more than 3 if you want and if you need them. You may need them. So that's what the full thing looks like. That's what you're turning in, the full outline. But there are different pieces of this outline, right? So we have different examples and helpers for you. I'm not going to open all of these. I will just draw attention to them. If you need help with the tension getter and clincher, here's a resource. If you want to make sure that you have all the pieces of your introduction, conclusion, transitions, thesis, and body, here are some checklists of those, okay? If you need examples, more examples of introduction, conclusion, here are some of those. Parallel sentence structure helps you to see how main points should be parallel in nature. If you don't understand what parallel sentence structure means, take a look at those examples. That'll help you. If you need help with thesis preview and review, there are some examples there. There are some transition examples, and here's a working outline example. Basically the same thing that you've seen already. It's nothing new. So, use all of these resources to help you. Your final submission should look something like this example. Okay? Again, refer to Chapter 12 for helpers when it comes to writing an outline. All right, you have 2 more small assignments to do regarding this speech. So the next thing you're going to do is tell me your oral citations. This is just a really short assignment. Click the green action arrow and download the assignment. This is what the assignment looks like. Literally save it, because you need to hit save before to let you type, and then you can just type your answers here. Okay. You need at least 3. I'm listening in your speech to catch these. So on the rubric, when it says support material is identified or something like that, that's what I'm listening for. Oral citation. And all that means is that you are giving credit. Those references that you have already used to write your speech, you're going to give credit to those sources as needed. And so here are some examples of oral citations Okay, and you can do it just like these examples. You don't have to give me every bit of information just yet. You can just like do a dot, dot, dot. I need this signal phrase from you, which is what is here. Okay, so here's an example. In her book, Healthy Living Today, Dr. Jane Wilson stated dot, dot, dot. In my interview with Dr. Robert Ulmer, chair of the UALR Speech Communication Department, I learned that dot, 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 right? The May 5th, 2005 issue of the New York Times states that dot, dot, dot. Those are oral citations. Show me how you are going to cite your source verbally within your speech. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for at least 3 because you have 3 different sources you should be using for the speech. I just need evidence that you are aware that you need to cite them in your speech. Okay. Last but not least, visual aid. You have to have some sort of visual aid for this speech, and you have to reference your visual aid within your speech. Again, if you are going to use a PowerPoint, and that's perfectly fine, you need to use Screencast-O-Matic or some other app that allows the screen to show and your face to show. I must be able to see your face in this speech, so don't think you're getting out of that. Look at Chapter 14. That will give you some ideas about visual aids. If you are going to, like, you can make a handout and then you would like email it to your class before, as you go to post your link. You're just going to type one word in a Word document, type the visual aid you plan to use and just upload it here at this assignment link. Okay, so I just need to know. It's just an acknowledgement that you know that there's a visual aid required and that you have a plan. Alrighty, that does it for week 4. As you well know, following week 4, that's when you actually post the final speech. We are so close to the end, it's crazy. You will have a chapters 12 through 14 exam that I will review at the end of next week. I will also do my best to get you a model speech for the end of next week. But for now, be working on your research and writing out your speech in the outline.